King Musa of Mali, Mansa Musa versus the modern billionaire.
Elon Musk's wealth is made of lines of code and stock options, but 700 years ago, one man's wealth was so physical, so heavy, that he accidentally crashed the global economy while he was just passing through. This is the $400 billion story of the man who literally broke the value of gold. We estimate Mansa Musa's net worth at $400 billion. But here is the difference the algorithm doesn't tell you. Musa's wealth wasn't on paper, it was tangible, solid gold. At a time when Europe was trapped in the Dark Ages, the Mali Empire was the bank of the world. They controlled nearly half of the entire Old World's gold supply, mined from the legendary fields of Bambouk and Bouré. Before we dive into the journey that changed history, I have a question for you. If you woke up tomorrow with a 4-pound bar of solid gold, what is the first thing you'd buy? Tell us in the comments. We are hearting the most creative answers.
Musa was never meant to rule. He was a deputy for Mansa Abu Bakr II, a king obsessed with the horizon. Legend says Abu Bakr sailed into the Atlantic with a fleet of 2,000 ships to find the edge of the world, and he never returned. In 1312, the placeholder became the power. Musa inherited an empire that was already flourishing, but he wanted to prove that Mali wasn't just a remote desert kingdom. He wanted to show the world that West Africa was the center of the universe.
Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 was the largest display of wealth in human history. Imagine a city of 60,000 people moving across the Sahara. 12,000 servants dressed in expensive Yemeni silk, each carrying a 4-pound bar of gold. 80 camels followed behind, each packed with up to 300 pounds of gold dust. But how did they survive? Musa's logistics were god-level. For the soldiers and servants, it was a 2,700-mile endurance test. They survived on a diet of grain, meat, and dates, drawing fresh water from a network of Saharan oases. To honor his faith, Musa reportedly commissioned a new mosque to be built every single Friday at whatever spot the caravan stopped for rest. When Musa reached Cairo, he didn't come to conquer with swords, he conquered with kindness. But his arrival nearly caused a diplomatic war. The Sultan of Egypt, Al-Nasir, demanded that Musa kiss the ground in his presence.
I refuse.
Musa, a king of kings, refused. After a tense standoff, Musa bowed not to the Sultan, but to God. Once the formalities were over, the spending began. Musa gave away so much gold to the poor and spent so much in the markets that the value of gold in Egypt plummeted by 25%. He effectively ruined the Egyptian economy for 12 years. It is the only time in history one man controlled the price of gold across the entire Mediterranean single-handedly.
On his return journey, Musa realized gold could be devalued, but knowledge could not. He brought back the world's greatest scholars and the architect Abu Ishaq al-Sahili. He transformed Timbuktu into the intellectual capital of the world. He built the Djinguereber Mosque and sponsored the University of Sankore. By the 1500s, Timbuktu housed 700,000 manuscripts, ancient books on surgery, astronomy, and law that were worth more than the gold that paid for them.
Mansa Musa's true legacy wasn't that he was rich, it was that he forced the world to acknowledge Africa as a center of power and intellect. In 1375, the famous Catalan Atlas was drawn, showing Musa on a golden throne holding a gold coin, marking Mali as a destination the world could no longer ignore. Most people still think the richest man in history was a Roman or an American. Help us correct the record by sharing this video. And if you want to see the day in the life of a Timbuktu student, click the playlist on your screen now.
I am the Afro Mythos narrator. Thank you for watching.